There's so many ways to make money in real estate. It's really just it matters more that you decide than what you decide. I think you can make in especially commercial real estate, like in every asset class, you can make tons of money, obviously. Some are more competitive than others, absolutely. We love the mobile home park business just because it's fulfilling a need for affordable housing.
Welcome to the Real Freedom Show, where we inspire you to pursue your passion to gain time and financial freedom through opportunities in real estate. I'm your host, Mike Swenson. Let's get some real freedom together. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Real Freedom, Real Estate Leverage Freedom, where we talk about different ways to build time and financial freedom through opportunities in real estate. I'm your host, Mike Swenson. If you want to get started on your real estate investing journey, check out our website, freedomthroughrealestate.com. It's where we post all of our great content to help you decide where to get started, how to get started, and give you as much great information as you can to enjoy this awesome entrepreneurial journey that is real estate. And so today we've got an awesome guest. We're going to talk a little bit more about probably mobile home parks. We've got Matthias Gruenwald here. He is the co-founder and managing partner of WCG Investments. For those of you that have followed the show in the past, we had his business partner, Tim Woodbridge, on. That is going back to episode, I believe it's 267, if you want to go check that out. You moved to the U.S. from Germany. I'll let you share the story, but got into mobile home park investing, and that's really where you guys focus right now. And so excited to hear you share your journey and your story, Matthias. So thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Take us back a little bit, back to the beginning, how you got to the U.S., how that real estate investing, twinkle in your eye got started, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good. Yeah, absolutely. So back in 2012, I moved from Germany to the United States, and that was mainly for the job opportunity I had in the company I was working for. They expanded to the United States, to Greenville, South Carolina, actually, where there's the biggest BMW facility in the world. It's actually in Greenville, South Carolina. Ironically, it's not Munich, it's not Germany, it's actually in South Carolina. And we were a major supplier for BMW. We still were at that time, and still to this day. I don't work there anymore because I'm doing full-time real estate right now. But back then, I moved over here to be the plant manager for that facility. And from there, we have really explosive growth. And I moved from the plant manager position to chief operating officer over the years, and then was also responsible for the Monterrey, Mexico, and Detroit, Michigan facility as well. So learned a lot of skills about operations, streamlining processes and efficiencies, finding efficiencies, and hiring and firing people, recruiting, HR, corporate politics. Learned a little bit of everything at that time. And then really fast forward to like 2020 when COVID hit. I was already in my executive position for a couple of years, and then I realized, look, I'm kind of in a dead end right now, and I'm doing well, but I feel like I feel the golden handcuffs in a sense. What is next in life? I was pretty young. I was always having had my career like fast forward basically. I was always the youngest in that position in that corporation. It was a larger corporation, a subsidiary of like at that time Hitachi Chemical, so a big company. That was like in my early 30s. I'm like, hey, what's next? I'm on an executive there. Do I jump to another corporation? What do I do next? I'm like, okay, I just Googled it. That's how it was like, what do the rich do? How do the rich get rich? How do the wealthy get wealthy? And I always came back to real estate. And then I started reading real estate books because in 2020 with the COVID-19 pandemic, everybody had a little more time on their hands because everything slowed down, the world slowed down. Read a bunch of books. I think I read like 70 something books that year. Still to my record to this day, a bunch of books I read, and most of them were like real estate and like personal development. And then like the first book I read, I still remember, I read about like the tax benefits and everything. I'm like, man, this can't be legal, you know? So I couldn't believe it. Did more research on it. I was like, man. It's kind of crazy how the IRS is really supporting the fact of entrepreneurship in real estate because you create housing and what tax benefits you can get. So in my mind, I was like, okay, if I do X amount of money now, but I have to pay a lot of tax on it, if I'm gonna become like a real estate professional, I actually don't have to make as much money to keep the same amount because I pay less taxes, or almost completely eliminate my tax burden. So I kind of ran my numbers, and I'm always, Stephen Covey in this book, The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, he always talks about act with the end in mind. And my end was that I want to get out of this corporate job and replace that income. So how do I get started? I always want to get into like multifamily or commercial assets since we started real estate, but I didn't have the track record, I didn't have the accolades, so we started small. So we tried to go into like short-term rentals, but I was like around 2021 where everybody wanted to buy short-term rentals, so we get outbid left and right. And my mind was always like, I'm not going to overpay just because other people are greedy. So I looked at, okay, let's do small multifamily at least. Starting small, I want to go into apartments. And then late 2021, we got on a contract on a really good deal on the duplex. That was our very first real estate deal. Got that one done, and still to know to this day, I was terrified closing that thing. It was my first real estate transaction. No idea. I was afraid people are just gonna walk off the next day, and I'm gonna be stuck with a new mortgage, and terrified. So I had this one for 2 years in 2023, then bought a fourplex because I want to do like a stacking method, like 2 units, then four, and I want to go to commercial to 8 plus. So did the fourplex. That one was a home run deal. Just refied this year that deal, all the money out. Basically have like infinite returns right now on that deal. So which still like for my personal portfolio outside syndication I'm doing right now, the best deal I've ever made. Um, and I also like late 23 joined the mastermind and met a lot of people, including my now partner Tim Woodbridge, and then started a joint venture on a small-ish apartment complex, 26 unit in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And then shortly after, like a month later, we closed on another joint venture, which was an RV park in Mississippi, which Tim was on the deal as an asset manager, and that's how we started working together. And in that deal, we kind of got to know each other really well of our core values and how we run business and where we want to head in the future. And I had a missing piece of like, okay, how do I get deals in commercial real estate? And he is the acquisitions master, and he was perhaps lacking. He always says he doesn't like underwriting, he can't do it, but he's pretty good at it. I just don't think he doesn't like to do it. And I like to do underwriting. I like to be the analysis guy. I like to build the operations. And us two coming together in late 23. We started our first syndication in 2024. And from that point on to fast forward today, at the time of recording, November 2025, we added over 600 units, did several syndications. The first one we did was a 100-unit mobile home park. And now we are managing over 1,000 units and have 45 million assets under management right now. So rapid growth, considering I just started with a duplex 4 years ago and now at over 1,000 units within a couple of years. And I couldn't have done without Tim, my partner, and we're always joking like with us, 1 + 1 = 3, because once we're working together, some magic happens. So really proud of what we achieved so far, and we're still hungry. We have big goals.
That's awesome to hear. And it's fun to see the growth. Like, you haven't been in it for very long. And at the same time, you've gained a lot of experience through doing repetitive things over and over and over. And yeah, it's fun to see kind of that hockey stick growth as it goes. So talk a little bit, because you've done some of the other asset classes, you've looked at the other asset classes. You've kind of gotten your area of specialty now, but talk through, why mobile home parks, what you like about it, and then curious to hear kind of, are you thinking this is our lane right now, or are you open to other stuff in the future? But yeah, kind of talk through for people that might be sitting back saying, I don't know which asset class to choose. How do I decide? Kind of talk me through that decision for you.
Certainly. There's so many ways to make money in real estate. It's really just, it matters more that you decide than what you decide. I think you can make in, especially commercial real estate, like in every asset class, you can make tons of money, obviously. Some are more competitive than others, absolutely. We love the mobile home park business just because it's fulfilling a need for affordable housing. Affordability is an issue in the country right now. So we're filling in that niche. And it makes it very recession resistant because people, if things get tight, people downgrade. And always someone would downgrade to a mobile home park. It's the cheapest way of living, really. So we love the recession resistant nature of mobile home parks. Also, the majority of the parks that we have tenant-owned homes, which means we really just lease out the land. So we're not responsible for any repair and maintenance on the homes itself. Of course, we buy parks where we have park-owned homes, where we convert them as fast as possible to rent-to-own contracts or selling them cash outright to people. So we get them off our books, so to speak. That will help the expense ratio. So if you have a lot all tenant-owned home park, you can run in a 30% expense ratio range, 30 to 40%, depending on the utility setup. If you have like private wells or if it's like city utilities or public utilities, depending on that. But in general, the expense rates are pretty low, very predictable. So we have a bunch of parks where we have tenant-owned homes only, and you can totally tell they're so easy to manage. We jump on a call every 2 weeks. There's a few action items. That's it. On the park on home side, it's like having regular rentals. You have a lot of turnover. People are just renting. So we stabilize them over time and sell them off over time. But you can definitely tell it's like more maintenance and management intensive on that end. But it shows like once you have it like stabilized and like a lot of tenant-owned homes, how easy they are to manage. You still have to do collections and stay on top of people, and you have evictions here and there, but they're very, very rare if it's all tenant-owned homes because what makes the tenants so sticky is because moving a mobile home can be 15, $20,000 with, setting them up in a new park again, moving it, depending on where you move it, it gets even exponentially more expensive. So people rather pay like $50 more in lot rent if you do increase the lot rent on them instead of spending $20,000 moving another park, which probably charges the same amount you about to charge, if that makes sense. So we love
Mhm.
to buy parks that are under market rents because people see like, hey, I'm paying $300 lot rent right now, but the park down the road is 475. If we go in, take over, and increase rents by like $50, $75, for example, we're still cheaper than the neighbor, and they're not going to move their home out because they have to pay $20,000 and then still pay more rent, if that makes sense. So they're very,
Mhm.
very sticky tenants, and we love that because it puts so little stress on operations, having less turnover. And we also love to buy parks where we have empty pads and bring in new homes in and sell them either over long-term notes or we sell them cash. So kind of basically increasing the value, raising the tide through different channels, if that makes sense. We're increasing rents, we're improving also infrastructure, which compresses the cap rate as well on the asset because it makes it more attractive to a future buyer, etc. So that's why we love it. And the tax benefits are wild too because they're all land improvements with mobile home parks mostly. So the year one depreciation is pretty high, especially now with the bonus depreciation being back at 100%. The write-offs are crazy on the mobile home park side. Our investors love it. So if somebody comes in as like a real estate professional, we had one deal when they invest $1, they get $2 of write-off in year one. So if you put $100,000 in, you get $200,000 paper loss in year one. So we have people just coming for the tax benefits sometimes in our syndications because that's so crazy. So yeah, that's one of the a few of the reasons why we love mobile home parks so much. Probably can speak about this for the rest of the day, but those are the main points
Mhm.
why we love them.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I learned too is the further along we're in our business, the more you realize that yeah, people really just, they like the tax benefits. And so, obviously the cash flow is fantastic, the future sales will be fantastic. But really just having that tax write-off because yeah, if you're a high income earner, it's tough to find that stuff anywhere outside of real estate. And so that's where I find myself talking more and more about the tax benefits than anything because that's where they're going to feel that benefit right away the next year they do their taxes. I had a client where he called up his CPA afterwards and said, I think you made a mistake. And come to find out it wasn't a mistake. It was just no, investing in real estate can be that helpful.
Exactly right. The same happened to me because I resigned from my W-2 last year, and so this year is my first full year. But my wife was already helping in the business since 2021. We did always management in-house because we wanted to learn how to do property management. And my partner Tim and I, we run a vertically integrated property management company that serves all the syndications. So it's all in-house management, so to speak. So we had the tax benefits already having a spouse as a real estate professional, obviously, but we didn't have the major paper losses yet. But last year I did. So when I had my tax returns done this year for 2024, I had my CPA on the phone and told me what my tax return is like. Excuse me? And I couldn't believe it because I was so high. But basically, all my taxes back I paid on my W-2 last year because I had the major paper losses from the first indications we closed last year with all the cost segregation studies before we had even the 100% bonus being back. That's actually not kicking into this year, 2025 in January. So yeah, the tax benefits are crazy. I think there's a lot of people that are overlooking this when they want to make the move full time to real estate because the biggest expense you have in life is taxes. If you can reduce that by a lot, you don't have to make as much money as in your W-2 because you can keep a lot more. So you always have to keep that in front of you if you want to make that switch going full time to real estate.
You met Tim, you guys have a great partnership. Phrase that I've used is if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And so there's a ton of people in the real estate space that are partnering up, deciding like, hey, we can do things better. You see the books out there of like who, not how, just talking about the benefits of great relationships. So for you, talk a little bit about kind of how that relationship came together, how you guys decided like, hey, instead of trying to do this by ourselves, how about we link up? And then obviously you mentioned kind of the 1 + 1 = 3 theory of now you've seen of how that can play out over time.
Yes, we're very grateful that we have each other as partners and also as friends. And we are aware that it's very special what we have built so far. I think it's really hard to find a partnership that ends up also in a very deep friendship. And sometimes it's like friends first and then partners. But with us was different. Like we started as partners and then became really close friends because then we realized as we work together, like our core values align so much also on the family basis and what's really important to us. And that because that helps a lot building the business, the empire that we're building right now, we keep the core values in mind. Once the core values align, the big decisions that we have to make, we almost always on the same page because we look through it through the same lens. And it's certainly true. If you can be the best, most efficient worker out there or entrepreneur, but you get always beat by a strong team because you can only do so much as a one person, one man army. You won't get very far. Once you build that team and then you build with a partner like a strong team together, and you can also lean on somebody if you go on a vacation or you go on a trip with your family, your partner jumps in and we do it, vice versa. I leave and Tim does a little bit of my stuff and vice versa. It helps a lot. If you're like a solopreneur, you don't really have the luxury. You're sitting on the beach with a laptop at that point. So you're always going to be working. How to find that for me it was when I joined several masterminds, I always try to find like, okay, who's doing big moves and who do I initially feel like they are a good person, and also how can I bring value to them? And I saw Tim when he was in that mastermind I'm in that he was attempting big moves and he did big moves. I saw him, he did several acquisitions at a time before we started working together. And then I brought a deal to him, which was our first syndication, because I lived in that market. And I brought it to him. He's like, "Oh yeah, I looked at that one, but I underwrote it this way." And I showed my underwriting, and I did it very comprehensive because I'm very detailed. And Tim was like, "Hey, you're doing a good job on this underwriting thing." And then I showed him why the deal works, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I see it works now." And it's all still to this day one of the best deals we did. So it's cash flow very heavy. Preferred returns been paid, since month three in full. We've been almost, we're in year two right now. We're gonna refi next year and get everybody's money back. It's gonna be a home run deal. But we realized in that sense, like, okay, I didn't know the acquisitions part as well. He did. He knew the broker of that deal. He already did, I think, one or two deals with that broker at a time. And actually, somebody offered more than we did on this deal, but we got it because Tim had the relationship already with that broker because he knew Tim is going to close. The guy didn't know me though. But I knew the market, I knew the operations and how to build the operations because I did it as a chief operating officer. Yes, I was manufacturing, but the principles are similar, how to hire people, how to place people in the right seats and stuff. So we actually, the addition 1 to 1 = 3 with us started right there where we realized, okay, I'm missing that. Tim got it. Tim missed this, misses that. I got that. And then from there was just rocket fuel. We just did another syndication in August last year, then another one in November, and we kept going. We had like 3 or 4 more this year. I actually lost track of how many we did so far. We closing, closing, closing. We actually have a closing coming up the next 7 days. It's going to be the last one for 2025, but we had several this year, and we're actually about to go on the contract, our biggest deal ever, with almost 300 lots. Hopefully, in December, we're going to go on the contract after we walk the properties. So you have a really good dynamic, like how we systematized everything, how we built the team, and how we built a property management company at the same time, which also Tim opened my eyes how to vertically integrate the property management into the business, into the empire as well, which helped me a lot also to underwrite the deals better and be more efficient. And it's cheaper than going with a third party, and you care more than any third party ever will to manage the assets. So it's not only cheaper and increase the returns to the investors, but also we make money on top of it too, because we run the property management company. So if there's profits left, we split them
Mhm.
50-50. So there's a lot of things to learn from each other. And it's rare to find. I mean, it's not as simple as like going on social media and just say, hey, I want to partner up. That works maybe, but you have to date a lot of people. And I've been through other people I partnered with JVs and it didn't quite work out. Not really leaving on bad terms. I just realized I don't like their work style. I don't like when things get tough and they're starting to hide and I have to step up and fix the problem. Whereas when we have trouble now, WCG, everybody steps up. Like Tim, I, and our other partner Vinny, we're all stepping up and we're there for each other. And I think that makes a difference between like successful businesses and business they're not going to make it very far. because we are there for each other. If someone's struggling, we all chip in, all hands on deck, which I think our investors are realizing that too, because they're more investing into the operator than the deal. Of course, the deal is important, but they want to trust the operator, want to identify with the operator. We regular people, we know what we're doing, but we're not perfect either, and we're honest about it. We're transparent about it. We're not perfect, but hey, if things get ugly, we tell you about it. We do webinars and send it to our investor base and say, hey, this went south on this deal last 3 months, and here's why. Well, here's what we're going to do to make it better. We're like super transparent, and we love that. That's kind of our motto as well. We tell our investors, like, we run as like a Fortune 500 company, but we have small team transparency. Like, you can always look under the hood, which makes it very easier to raise capital, because people love that transparency.
I call this, kind of resume building in terms of growing your portfolio because, yeah, your relationships with brokers matter and they want to see that you can perform. And you had mentioned, a deal where you didn't have necessarily the highest price, but they knew you could close. And I think for people outside of commercial real estate, like that's kind of a tough thing to grasp because you're used to single family, like, hey, I got to have the highest price to be able to win. And it's like, no, the seller wants to make sure that if I'm going to take all this time to go through this process, I want to make sure this thing sells. And yeah, if it's 100,000 or, whatever it might be difference, okay, fine. But we want to go with people that we know. So the resume is really important here. And that's where you guys are building up a great reputation of, yeah, the ability to close, the ability to follow through on what you say you're going to do. And that stuff does really matter in the commercial real estate space.
It totally does. It totally does. In that case, they offered $200,000 more, but that group was unknown to the broker. And that broker is from like Marcus and Millichap. I mean, they're a big brokerage. They're very well known, obviously. It wasn't a small brokerage. And they really put a lot of trust into Tim because he already closed several deals with them. And that made all the difference. Although they offered 4 million, we offered 3.85. So I guess it's a $150,000 difference. But they said, we don't want to go through the process of 90 plus days. And then at the 11th hour, they're going to pull out for some reason. Or right before DD ends, due diligence ends, they're going to pull out. So they put the trust in our hands, and we closed. We closed on time. Everything went well during the closing, and the seller was very cooperative. Same with the brokers, and we try to make the transaction also pleasant to the seller in a sense. Of course, we have our standards, but be very clear what we want. We tell them at the beginning, DD doesn't start until we have all the documents from you. We don't want to have like 60 days, whatever, 30 days. Whatever we define for that deal, depending how big the deal is. And then you trickle in documents, over time, and we're losing time to review stuff. The clock starts once you give us the documents. We make it very clear, and most of them, like 99% of the time, they're fine with it. We hardly have any people ever fight this. And then there's the list we provide before we even sign a PSA, like, hey, this is a DD list. That's what we need from you guys. If there's anything that already stands out that could be a deal breaker, let us know. Like then we get the transaction before we even get the transaction started from a legal basis. We already make very clear what our expectations are, and that goes a long way. And we just try to be super transparent to investors, to the sellers, to the brokers, etc. And even if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It's business, and we make that also very clear, and all parties usually understand. So
Yeah.
I think just being that transparent makes a big difference, and not only in real estate business, but also in this business, since these transactions take a lot longer than just buying a single family home. You can get this done in 30 days or less. This takes some of the deals taking over 100 days because the banks take forever sometimes, on those deals. 90 days, kind of the average, but I've seen deals that take like 110 days to close because the bank took forever. So it is what it is, and then the seller doesn't want to invest a lot of time and then they have to do it again because time is money.
Are you looking to get started or scale in real estate investing but don't know your next step? Are you overwhelmed thinking about finding deals, analyzing deals, doing due diligence, and managing properties on top of it? Go ahead and push the easy button and invest with us. Real estate investing is what we do full time. We've done dozens of deals with hundreds of doors. We have the knowledge and experience to handpick the best deals that most investors can't find. We've got large off-market deals all the time where you can hopefully find returns and economies of scale that you just can't find on your own. The best thing is it's 100% passive to you for less capital than you put down trying to acquire a property on your own. Don't let this year go by where you don't make the leap, add to your portfolio, or you just sit in analysis by paralysis. To find out more, visit freedomthroughrealestate.com and click on invest. You can book a call and learn more there. So get to scaling your portfolio now with us by your side. Obviously, to be able to grow fast, you have to find great deals, right? And raise capital. And so, you guys aren't going to skimp on, hey, we're now going to accept poor quality deals because we know we want to grow really fast. You're still going to have that bar of what makes a deal worthwhile to move forward. So talk about maybe some of the growing pains there of we got to continue to bring this manufacturing machine of deal flow. We've got to crank that thing up so that we can continue to find great deals and continue to find those investor dollars as we're growing at a rapid pace.
Yes, exactly. So speed is everything in that business. Sometimes when you get like a pocket listing from a broker and not many people have seen it so far, it's really important that you're quick on this. So we have an underwriter on the team. In the beginning, like a year or so ago, a year and a half, I did all the underwriting. Right now, I do just at the last 10%. So we have an underwriter on the team. She knows exactly how to underwrite. I taught her how to do everything. She's also a partner on our syndication as well. She does all the underwriting, highlights anything that looks strange or where we can make improvements. I do the last 10%, get the LOI. Basically, template is already out there. Our executive assistant, he's going to create the LOI. And then Tim goes in, does the last 10% of the LOI, make sure everything checks out with the underwriting, get the offer out. So we can go from like getting a deal on our desk to like an LOI created within like a day or two, or faster sometimes. If we know, okay, we need to be really fast and get it done like within a day or 24 hours. Well, others will like probably look at this like for a couple of days, a week, whatever, and we can make an offer really quick. That makes a big difference. And then you can also do a lot of volume. So I'm not sure how many offers we did in the last 12 months, but we have a spreadsheet we call acquisitions pipeline, and that's probably like 200 something plus deals in there we did offers on. And usually we do like 3 offers per deal, so you can actually say it's like 600 offers because we do a cash offer, a seller carry offer, and a seller finance offer, basically. We can pay more if you hold the note at like a 5% or whatever it is, or interest only, and something very creative. Um, but yeah, with those growing pains, we still put on a sniper rifle, if that makes sense, instead of just go shotgun, meaning we actually narrowed down very, very narrowly where we're going to buy. So we love the Southeast, where many states are landlord friendly. So our majority of our portfolio is in, South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia. We have some in Virginia. We had one outlier park in Oklahoma we bought, and this is still one of our best deals, all tenant-owned homes, because one of our partner brought it to us, and it was off market, and it's been owned by the same guy for like 30 plus years, and he just wanted to get retired. He was like 80 something years old. So it was one of those deals where you couldn't pass on, and we're glad we didn't because it's such a good deal. We actually pay a 10 pref on that thing. That's how good a deal is. So it's a really good deal. But as we went through that process, we matured a lot too to understand like we cannot just like shop everywhere. We have to shop where we are strong. And we know the Southeast market really well. And then building the system and the process is really important too, that you can be fast of making the offers and having the right conversations. And you blending out all the noise very quickly and efficiently. Like we say no more than we say yes to what comes across the desk. In the beginning, it was like, oh, this is cool. There's a pocket listing off market, whatever. Let's try to make it work. And then we realized, okay, it's a town in West Virginia with 1,000 people. We probably can operate it, but it's going to take a lot of bandwidth to operate that, dipping into a new market, which is tiny. We have nothing even close to that area. You have to find new community managers, new plumbers, new electricians, whatever, stuff like that. So we got more, we're trying to build clusters now. Like we have certain areas where we have a lot of parks right now, and we focus on these clusters to make, we can spread out from there, so to speak. So some in the upstate of South Carolina, in the Greenville Spartanburg market, great market. We having clusters there, and we're adding on more smaller parks, which then also enables you to buy smaller parks again, because you can tag it onto the existing 200 units. You can then just say, okay, I normally just buy like 100, 150 plus units, but here's a 50 unit. I can plug it into the other 150 I already have, because the economy of scales there actually makes everything else perform better, and just plug it in. So as you grow, that's you constantly improving and changing. I think people have probably misconception like you have like one system and then you just like have the 4 hour work week and let it go. Like everything comes to me, money magically appears and stuff like that. Unfortunately, it's not that way. And I say unfortunately, but I've also fortunately it's not that way, because I would get bored really fast. So you constantly have to adjust your processes, your systems, and see what the inefficiencies are. And especially if you grow, you see the inefficiencies are happening. What was efficient last year might be inefficient today because you have so much more scale. So you constantly have to improve. And That's why I was, involved in my W-2 most of the time. We were growing rapidly too in the manufacturing business. The same thing, what worked last year doesn't work today anymore. So I use the same skill set I built in that W-2. I can use that in real estate right now, which helps tremendously with the capital raising side. And in the beginning, we had no idea how to raise capital in the beginning. So we partnered with somebody that taught us while we were co-GPing with him how to capital raise, do live webinars, do like Facebook ads and stuff like that. And we using those tools right now, and we are constantly evolving it. And we just the deal we close on next week. We've been oversubscribed after 7 days. We went, opened the deal up to our investor base. It was $1.5 million. We actually have to push people away and say, sorry, there's no space anymore, which is great. In the beginning, I had no idea how to do this, and now we can raise $1.5 million within 7 days, which is mind blowing. If I think back 2 years ago, or even 3 years ago, and we just really just got started in real estate. It's kind of wild to see like how you're evolving, and then you looking back and you realize, oh man, I climbed that mountain. This is amazing, and you just keep going, and then you're looking forward to what the future will hold for you. And you just keep improving 1% better every day. Man, the mountain gets bigger and bigger.
It's awesome to see, yeah, how that momentum has built for you, and how, pairing up and partnering up and finding a great asset class. Like, yeah, you guys have a great thing going, and sounds like you guys are on fire. So for people that want to reach out to you, learn more about what you're doing, how can they do that?
Yeah, they can go on wcginvestments.com. That's our website. There's a contact form there. You can book a call with us if you'd like to learn more. I'm also very active on most of the social media platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram as well. Yeah, you can reach out personally there on those social media platforms if you have any questions. Happy to help. Also get people started in real estate, of course. If you're interested in investing, definitely check out wcginvestments.com. You can sign up there. We also have like a free ebook, Why We Love Mobile Home Parks. You just have to put in your information and you get it sent to you guys for free. No strings attached, and then you can check out why we love it so much. And yeah, it was a pleasure to be here today, Mike. Thanks for having me, and had a great time.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Exciting to see your growth, and best of luck as you guys continue to grow and improve in the future.